Hello again, y'all. I got my tea this time. It's green tea. Kind of tastes a little funky. Maybe last time the green tea was a different kind of green tea, or maybe different kind of tea. Who freaking knows? But today I wanted to this video I just wanted to try to wrap my hands around a concept found in the Tao Te Ching, and that is what's called hidden and mystical virtue. Now, in the Tao Te Ching, virtue is seen as something. It's seen as following the Tao, and of course, the Tao is a very complex topic, because the author himself says it's unexplainable, unexplainable. So it's kind of hard to explain. But essentially what it is it's the underlying entity within the universe, life, and everything. So think of God, the big G, in Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. But instead of the personification and symbol of a person, it is everything. And then it's also nothing. It's it is the mother of everything, but that's not what you can call it, because it is everything and it's nothing, but it birthed everything. So, it's a little freaky concept, but essentially what the Tao Te Ching is arguing is that the Tao is something that is eternally good. It lives, or its sole purpose is to exist for other things. And you kind of can see that with nature and the universe in general, is that it's a canvas for the living to be able to act within the universe, within life, within nature. And as unfortunate as it is, it does have mechanisms where it needs to survive and to protect itself against it shattering. Because if nature and the universe weren't what I'm gonna a term I'm gonna take from Nassim Taleb, anti-fragile. So meaning stress actually helps it out. It actually benefits from stress. If it was something like robust or fragile, then it would break, or it would not function, and we would not be here. So nature in itself has to promote its own survival. So that's why you have something like death that is present, because it's there, so it can and make way for the new species, new organisms, new posterity, new life to emerge from the death. And with life and death, it's that circle of anti-fragility. No matter how many things die, there is something else that's going to be taking its place. And even if it's not a living organism, it's the universe itself. So the universe always wins. Well, is always existing. And that's kind of what the Tao is. It's that it's the mother of all things that births everything, and that is canvas to all. And in that sense, it's always good, because it's always trying to survive, so that other or things in this universe can survive as well, including us, including animals. But what the virtue is trying, and virtue in the Tao Te Ching is trying to align yourself with the goodness of the Tao, which is impossible because, as in the author's eyes, and what the Tao is, it's everything and nothing, and it's practically perfect. But what we can do is we can chase after that. So it's something I'd like to call the path to perfect virtue. You're never going to get to perfect virtue, but since you can't ever get to it, you can always grow and become more virtuous in your ignorance. So it's like a if you ever played D&D, they have a pouch that carries things, but it's a, what's it called? It's like an endless pouch. You can put anything in it, and it will hold it forever. And that's kind of what the path of perfect virtue is like. Instead of it being limited, our knowledge being limited, and we knowing for certain, like a regular pouch would be, the what the Tao argues is it's unexplainable. But that means you can keep putting in knowledge and keep acquiring knowledge to understand what virtue might be, apply it in your life, and keep growing from there. So virtue in the Tao Te Ching is following the goodness of the Tao, goodness of the perfect Tao. I mean, goodness, the perfect goodness of the Tao. Now, it goes into the differences between the like high virtue and low virtue, which is like high virtue is like following the Tao, and low virtue is following what you think is virtue. But what I want to talk about is hidden virtue and mystical virtue. So what the Tao Te Ching tries to argue is that when you start getting on this path to follow the Tao, the teachings of the Tao, and start to actually exhibit virtue in following the Tao, you get circumstances where other people don't understand why everything's going well for you. And it'd be like a ruler, or so one example, it'd be like a ruler almost effortlessly allowing his kingdom to flourish because he's in a line with the Tao, and let me kind of point out what virtue in following the Tao is it's being humble, it's being uncertain of your beliefs and always subservient to the unexplainable Tao. It is being desireless. It's not wanting ambition. It's not wanting anything. It is being almost empty so that you can provide for your people instead of you providing for yourself and for your cohorts. So once you're able to do these things where you can be like water in a sense, then you get into this territory where people look at you and they wonder how he could be doing this. They don't understand. And that's that mystical aspect of virtue, is that when you start living your life following the Tao, doing all these things that are aligned with the Tao, being desireless, being humble, all for humility, being uncertain in your beliefs, but just being present within the moment, other people start to get confused. They just don't understand and how you could be so successful in these endeavors, or not even in those endeavors, but in your interactions with others, in caring for so much, in treating people as ends rather than means. They see these actions within your life, these examples, and they don't understand how you could be doing these things, how it could look so effortless to you. But that's the thing, and with the Tao is it's effortless because you don't put any effort into it. You do it naturally, like water streams naturally. And a good example of this would be someone like Alfred Hitchcock. So if you don't know, Alfred Hitchcock was a famous movie director for horror movies. And it was, I think, 1900s. I don't know specifically when. But what would be so interesting about Alfred Hitchcock would be that whenever he was on set, there'd be some times where he was sleeping and everything around him would be going smoothly. And you're like, wow, that's weird. Because for directors, it is well known in the movie industry that the spot of director is one of the most stressful situations or not situations, but stressful jobs you can be in. And as we look at Alfred Hitchcock without understanding his processes, it's mystical. It's wild. He's just sleeping there, doing nothing, and yet everything's going smoothly around him. What Alfred Hitchcock has produced is the non-ado, and that is essentially being successful effortlessly. And how you do something like that is you're cultivating your relationship. And not even that, you're letting go of responsibilities to other people you trust. So you're giving up your desires for everything to be perfect. You're uncertain about the final project, but you who are allowing people who are experienced in their fields, the actors, the makeup artists, these and that, to make the decisions for their specific fields, and for you who lay back and be totally fine and only need to make executive decisions. And this letting go, this release of your power and authority is the non-ado. It is in line with the Tao. It is allowing others to do what they need to do. Not trying to be clever, not trying to be authoritative, not trying to desire or be ambitious, but to just let it all go and allow it to happen, and making small decisions on who's going to do what and who could be best in certain places. But if we didn't know that, like we were at the very beginning of this example, it would be it's that mystical virtue. It's that, how the hell is he doing this? This doesn't make sense. It's such a stressful job. How? But that's what the Tao is talking about. Is this non-ado? It's this expressing just enough of effort in certain situations to allow the system and people to do what they need to do. So you don't have to force yourself to get in these situations. You don't have to dictate everything that happens. You're preventative. And being that preventative helps you get to a point where you're not as stressed out. You are not struggling to be virtuous or to dictate the movie. And it's the same, and with virtue as well. These sages that the Tao Te Ching talks about, if they are following the Tao, if they do give up their desires to try, as it says in the Tao Te Ching, desire to be desireless. If they are humble and understand that they don't have all the right answers, that others in their circle of competencies are better in some situations than and you are in many. And if then you get into a state, and if you act out that, if you act it out like water, like moving around and being not flexible, but accepting of what happens, and then moving around it regardless, then you get something that is mystical to other people. They don't understand it. That's what that hidden virtue is as well. Hidden virtue is the kind of the opposite. So mystic virtue is when people recognize it and they're like, oh my God, what? It's like magic. Hidden virtue is whenever people don't recognize it because it's so peaceful and so smooth that they have no reason to it's so peaceful and smooth in whatever domain you're in that the sage who's following the Tao and is also a ruler doesn't need to put his hands or dictate what is happening within the government or within his domain. It's hands off. Everything's running smooth, so he doesn't do anything. And that's the hidden virtue part. Is, for example, let's just take the ruler, right? If the ruler, or if everything's going well, then he puts his hands off and people don't even notice him. And that's that hidden virtue. It's the people don't know that the emperor is actually doing something by not doing anything. It's, to them, it just seems normal. And that's kind of what I don't know if Marcus Aurelius did too much, but we'll just say that's kind of what you want in when you're ruling a country, the majority of the time, is you want to be able to, if there's peace and there's simplicity in your society, when everyone's living and as they should be, then you shouldn't and be asserting yourself onto the society. You should put your hands off and allow hidden virtue, that aspect of hidden virtue, to take its course. And then whenever shit does hit the fan, you should have that mystical virtue in that, and you've already taken the steps prior to prevent these from happening. You understand where to put enough pressure or where to kind of organize yourself. And in those situations where it's very stressful, when there is catastrophe or tragedy that happens, well, you don't have to do as much. But everyone comes to you for help and support. But everything is around you. The people around you are helping you out. The society is helping you because you've done on these preventive actions to help them. And people are surprised that it is going so well for such a stressful situation. So I kind of wanted to just go into those two because I wanted to wrap my thoughts around it and just understand it a little better, because whenever I do my Tao Te Ching video, I kind of want to be more, I want to be precise as possible. So I think I am going to use the Alfred Hitchcock, but I'm also going to use the ruler as well. example, especially for. I think Alfred Hitchcock would be good for the mystical virtue, and the ruler would be good for the hidden virtue. So, hidden virtue, the ruler are not putting his hands in anything and allowing the society to thrive itself is that hidden virtue. People don't notice the ruler, yet he's doing something by not doing. And then Alfred Hitchcock, in the sense that everything around him is crazy, but he's perfectly fine because he's cultivated these preventive measures and practices and relationships with other people, and trust and letting go, being desireless, as being uncertain in that he doesn't need to know the outcome. He allows others to pitch in as well, and then somehow. So, at least in Alfred Hitchcock's case, I need to look this up more. It's not that he's doing nothing at all. He has a vision for what's going on, and if he lays out that, it seems like he laid out that vision to everyone else, and then said, "Okay, you need to be in control of this to contribute to that vision. You need to be here because your skills are best here to contribute to that vision, and that and that." So whenever there's fires going on, people know the roles they have to play. They're the managers, they're the leaders in their own section, and they go and figure it out. And that's only if you lay out your vision clearly and also let go of your authority, let go of your certainty on how it should be, and then you being humble and knowing that you don't know everything. So I think I'll use those two examples. I think once I go into uncertainty, humbleness, and desirelessness and understand those a little better from the Tao Te Ching, I'll be feeling a little bit more confident. But other than that, it's 22 minutes. It's been 22 minutes. Anyways, I will see y'all later. Good night.